Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Larry.
And I'm Heather. In 1998, at the age of 26, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It changed everything for us, but I'm still here. And you guys are still here for part 2,
Of
Dr. Merajver. So,
Hope you enjoyed the first part.
yeah,
If you did, the
absolutely.
second part is just as good or
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
So,
We're excited to bring this to you, and there's always things that we can take away from her perspective, and it was so great to sit down with her.
please let us know after this. Please let us know what you think or if you have any more questions for her because I bet she would do a part 3. She's that kind of
Yeah,
person.
she is.
Awesome.
All right.
Enjoy.
So, can we switch gears a little bit and talk about the future of cancer and what you're excited about or what you're
Yeah, I'm
on?
excited about a lot of things.
I love it.
Well, the one thing I'm extremely excited about is that thanks to all that we have done in breast cancer, it's spilling over now into all cancers. Breast always was the pioneering. I guess first was leukemia.
Okay.
Leukemia and lymphoma taught breast what to do. And
Okay.
then with breast, but the solid tumors we call the liquid tumors
Yeah.
and the solid tumors.
Yep.
The liquid is leukemia. It's kind of a funny way to separate them, but it makes sense because
Yeah.
leukemia is in the blood. Blood is like a liquid. So anyway, so solid tumors, breast has always taken the vanguard. It's been at the forefront, and I see now how other cancers and especially lung is catching on, and it gives me great satisfaction to see a lot of the advances spill over. But in breast cancer in particular, I think we still lose 46,000 women and a few hundred men every year, and it's unacceptable. We still have 46,000 deaths, and there is a lot of breast cancer. The incidence is maybe plateauing or it's slightly increasing. So I want more prevention. I want personalized prevention. All the things that you have been doing, taking care of yourself, I want women to be doing their whole lives. There is less cancer to be had in society as a whole if people would just only listen and take it seriously. There is no pill to really prevent cancer. There may be vaccines.
Right.
A friend of mine and may have hit on a vaccine for people who have ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS, and then she may have hit on a vaccine to keep it from becoming invasive. I'm very excited about discoveries that we have made and others have made to prevent metastasis. That wouldn't have helped you because you walk through the door with metastasis, but a lot of people don't, and they get metastasis later on, 3 years, 5 years, especially things like triple negative and so on tend to, as you know, metastasize earlier, or inflammatory breast cancer. I was just at the conference in inflammatory breast cancer talking about recent discoveries we have made about metabolism, about how the metabolism of cancer cells is a little different, or quite a bit different in some cases, from the metabolism of normal cells. And that difference is a source of vulnerability for the cancer.
Sure.
So we discovered a particular enzyme, metabolic enzyme, that we of course had to memorize in medical school, but nobody quite knew why we're studying all that.
Sure.
But now we know. And so, it's just very exciting. We have new ways, new vulnerabilities, and there are drugs available for these new discoveries. So we are very excited about that. I'm very excited about the treatments for metastasis. I think patients with metastasis should be very hopeful. Do not think of metastasis as incurable anymore. All you have to do is hear Heather's story, and that there is hope. And there is hope there are hundreds and there are thousands of women living with metastasis, good lives. Sure, it'll be better to not have it, but given that they do have it, there are lots of treatments on the shelf, lots of treatments coming up. I'm incredibly hopeful. and we are saving more and more lives, but there is a big burden of cancer, and part of the big burden is because of how we live. I'm sorry to say, we can't just weigh anything we want to weigh. We can't just eat anything that we find. All the stuff that we know is junk. Well, if we have it all the time, it takes a toll on our body. And cancer lurks around the corner of vulnerable bodies.
Well, again, so when you're talking about a vulnerable body, that says to me an immune system that isn't in top shape, right? So the goal then is to feed that immune system, to give it the body, the ability to do its job, to find those things.
We depend on it. And the problem when we are chronically overweight, and I mean significantly overweight, right? The body experiences a state of inflammation. So it's like having kind of like a little pocket of pus in the lung or in the liver, like an abscess or something. There is something, but instead it comes from the fat cells in the body that are all over the body. And so it isn't just that, okay, well, it doesn't matter. It's just two gene sizes. Well, 30, 40 pounds are 30, 40 extra pounds that are causing all that inflammation. It's not nothing. And so we would have a lot fewer cases. In fact, some epidemiologists that I trust very much think that we would have 75,000 fewer cases a year if people shaped up. And I'm not talking from childhood. If the current people who are not in shape would shape up, and by shape up, I mean just get close to that BMI of 30 to 35, just get close to that. We're not trying to be size 0. We are not talking any of that. We're talking movement and being close to it. And of course, drink in extreme moderation. Alcohol is a carcinogen, including a carcinogen for breast cancer. So no more than 3 drinks a week. And if you go to 0, you make me happy, but you don't have to. You're not obliged. And, I just hate carcinogens, right? I just hate them, I just have to talk about them because I hate them. And there is nothing I can do if people
I didn't know
drink.
that alcohol was a carcinogen.
Alcohol is a carcinogen for the mouth, for the larynx, for the pharynx, for the esophagus, for the pancreas. Not your most friendly kind of cancers. And alcohol goes in the bloodstream, and the bloodstream bathes all the tissues. So guess what? It's implicated in breast cancer. More than 3 drinks a week doubles the chance of breast cancer. So for patients who have had breast cancer already, I say, hey, why expose yourself? But if you are going to expose yourself, fine, but 3 drinks a week is what the data seems to indicate. But do I know for sure it's safe? No, I don't. That's the data. Epidemiological data are difficult to obtain. People don't always tell exactly how much they do. And we all exaggerate a little bit how much we really went for a run. How long did we really stay? It's always a little
I've heard
long.
that doctors automatically double what you write down, at least.
No, we don't, but but I have plenty of patients, that tell me, well, I never eat anything, and they need to lose 100 pounds. So it's a miracle. It's just a miracle of the stars that they find themselves in this situation. So that's fine. That to me as a doctor tells me that they are not in a state of reality, that they need to get there. I need to help them if I can. I need to suggest tools to help them, because I know for sure it's physically impossible, right? Certain things are impossible. And if you're not eating anything, you are not going to be 100 pounds overweight. You shouldn't be ever not eating anything, right? But what I'm saying is they say things that, and I know why. I understand all of that, but my job is still to help them. Because it helps people to, as you pointed out, to engage the immune system. You know, immune system is your friend.
Yeah.
That's why we get vaccines.
Yeah.
Because then we talk to the immune system. We say, hey, there is this thing out there that can kill me. Would you please train yourself to kill that thing instead of me?
Yeah.
So,
Did you have
yeah.
a question?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. So treatment wise, you know, I feel like I'm out of the loop in terms of treatments. I don't know. I've been on the same thing since 2004.
Yeah.
Has it changed a lot?
Yeah, well, I think the treatment, if you came through the door the way you did in those days,
Mm-hmm.
would be you wouldn't recognize it
Mm-hmm.
to a large extent. You would still get the hormonal therapies, of course, because they are at the forefront of saving the most millions of lives of
Right.
anything. Hands down, the winners. There would be no more transplant.
For sure.
You know, and so you would get antibodies. You get pertuzumab and trastuzumab, which you have gotten already, and but you didn't get it initially because they didn't exist in those days.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, there would be those kinds of things. So the treatment would have changed. You wouldn't recognize it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could tell you that I am positive that the treatments today are superior to what you got.
Okay.
I am personally not, for you in particular,
Mm-hmm.
with everything I know about your disease and what you did and how you took care of yourself and your emotional and everything support that you've had. For you as a person, I don't know if you would do better today. I think you, with luck, you would do as well as you did. But I'm not convinced of that because I think the double transplant made a big difference in your. I do believe that.
So do we.
That was
I
not
do.
an accident.
Yeah.
That I started thinking about your getting transplanted when I was talking to your brother.
Yeah.
It had
I could
occurred to
tell
me.
that you had a pat. We were.
Yeah, I started thinking of the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna leave nothing untouched. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we are gonna, as I said at the beginning, leave everything on the floor because I needed to think of 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to think of giving this person 60 years of good life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a tall order. And so I wasn't, nowadays you wouldn't get that, no matter where you live in the world.
The hope or the goal would be that you would be working with an oncologist who was looking at what is the path to get you the best quality of life for as long as possible.
Yeah, the best quality of life for as long as possible, taking into consideration that in the short term, as you put up with enormous amounts of inconvenience and side effects and the whole whole shebang.
Yeah.
Right? If anybody had the whole shebang, it was you. Yeah. But you were willing and you were part of the team. If you hadn't wanted it, you wouldn't have gotten it. You know, it wasn't up to me. But given that you were willing, so the short term quality of life is long term, right?
Right.
We had this conversation.
Sure.
As you stand on your head now, but then you know, you get to high school graduation. I remember having that conversation with you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was, I was willing to do anything that I could for a long-term aspect, right? I mean, first it was just kindergarten.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but we soon started talking about bigger picture.
Absolutely. Bigger things.
Yeah. I need people to be thinking high school, college, wedding. I need them to imagine themselves alive.
Yeah.
That's part of the visualization, part of engaging the brain, the immune system. Yeah. I want them to imagine themselves alive.
Well, I will say, I think because our conversation happened so early, I don't know if I truly got to, this means I'm going to die. I remember all of those first couple of weeks of feeling like any conversation, I would be like, am I going to be here for that? And then learning to then train myself to say, I'm going to be there for that, you know, or I can have this conversation. So I did have to like think about it, and
even if you didn't 100% believe it,
even if I didn't
Yeah.
100%,
and then it became, well, I guess I should believe it because
Yeah.
I'm still here.
I also remember actually in the hospital when I had pneumonia with my transplant, being so like angry, thinking this is not what's going to get me. Like I am not gonna, which I now know, like whatever, pneumonia ultimately kind of, it takes a lot of people, but I was like, nope, I am not, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
not
not
a
gonna
lot
go
of 27-year-olds, but you know, it's the side effects were terrible. And you know, I know that's what I'm saying. It's a very hard specialty. We give very toxic things to people, but we give them with the heart. We give them for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're really good drugs.
Yeah.
They cure people over
Well, and
terrible
I feel like again, all of those things, like some people talk about adriamycin as if it's, you know, oh, this terrible, and I was like, strong as can be. Like it's again, like you can view it any way you want, right? I remember
Kills cancer.
Remember Kelly telling me 14 days later you're gonna lose your hair, and she was right. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah, and so you know, but the hair comes back, you know,
sure.
and then as you point out, you stop thinking I won't be here for this or that. Well,
Right,
that's the goal. The
absolutely,
goal is
to be
to
able to make plans,
yeah,
to be able
make
to,
plans as if you're gonna be here.
yeah,
And that's the job of the relationship
yeah.
of the doctor, but also the family, the friends. Everyone contributes to that feeling.
Mhm.
And
Just one last thing before, I know I've kept you a long time, but how do you feel about second opinions? And in terms of, I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, they're unsure of them, or they don't want to maybe upset a provider.
well, that should never be the case. There is
Mhm,
nobody who should object to your patient. No doctor should ever object to a patient wanting to get a second opinion.
mhm,
A doctor could even facilitate that by suggesting places.
mhm.
I'm often asked, and I certainly make suggestions of how far would you like to go?
Yeah,
You know, it just, are you interested in south, north? You want to go skiing?
exactly.
What do you want to do? You know,
Mhm,
because there are lots of good places. I think, I think when you first different people do different things. I think when you first approach a disease as serious as metastatic breast or metastatic lung cancer or metastatic any cancer, you want to hear what everyone's thinking.
mhm,
And that is so important for some people. And it's not for
mhm.
everyone,
Yeah.
but for some people, that's so important to just hear,
Mhm,
just to know that they covered all the bases.
mhm,
So I encourage them, whatever the patient wants, my job is to, if I can, I facilitate, but I definitely always make them feel welcome to do it.
yeah.
And
I
and
gotta
it's
imagine
funny, yeah.
that you are often a second opinion or a
Oh
second.
yeah. I'm often a third opinion and seventh opinion. I mean, my email is every week. I have cases from all over the world. I have in WhatsApp.
Mhm,
I'm helping manage a sarcoma in Argentina. It doesn't matter what kind of cancer it is either. So yeah, I
mhm.
am proud of that. And you know, again, since I was practicing when I was a child, medicine without a license, I'm completely comfortable
Well, and
continuing.
again, if I had stopped with the first oncologist that I met, like, where would I have been? Right? I mean,
Well, you wouldn't be here.
I couldn't say, but maybe no high school graduation, and that was unacceptable. So
Yeah.
Well, you told me, you told me that. You said I remember you're asking me. It's like you're not going skiing. I said I was too poor growing up. I don't ski. I don't play tennis. All I can do is run and walk because that's the only thing I could afford. So yeah, no. But you were surprised that there was no vacation coming up. Well, I don't know where you would be. I don't want to comment on that. All I can say is people have their limitations, and
Yeah.
oncology is a specialty that is not very tolerant of limitations
Hmm.
because the room for error is the window of opportunity is not a wide open all the time. You have to seize the day. There is a time where you can treat somebody to the fullest extent of the weapons you have.
Hmm.
And I do use the word weapons because they are very toxic and they are potentially damaging. So you have to use them skillfully. But
Hmm.
the window of opportunity is no wide and it doesn't stay open. It closes in your face. And so you need to act when it's appropriate. So if you have to go skiing, well, have a good ski trip. But
Yeah.
you can't just tell cancer to not grow in a young person.
Yeah.
An estrogen fed cancer in a young person, in a young woman who has estrogen levels up to here, you can't you
Yeah.
can't just say I'm going to just blow this one out for a while.
Yeah.
It's just not what I'm sure that's not what he was thinking, but that's how he was acting. And
Yeah.
so that's not this is not the right specialty for that kind of prioritization.
Sure.
If you are in oncology, you have to prioritize killing cancer.
Yeah. What is the future of oncology in terms of oncology people coming up through it? Are there?
Well, I think we need more people. I think we are very busy.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that has happened is we're not replacing ourselves
That's
to
what I
the
want.
pace that we should be
Hmm.
in academia. Academia pays poorly, and a lot of people find it difficult to have studied so long and sacrificed so much and then continue to live a little bit like graduate students. And so all those concerns go through people's minds, and there is nothing wrong with going to private practice and so on, but somebody has to carry the banner of research and train the next generation. So I see problems, but I just came back from the San Antonio meeting, and I'm going to the meeting AACR in Orlando in April. We have 7 or 8 abstracts of new discoveries. It's going to be so exciting, 30, 40,000 cancer researchers and doctors. So on the one hand, there's a lot of excitement around the world, China, Japan, South Korea. There's a lot of new places,
Hmm.
very exciting in Europe. I went to Europe this summer because a lot is going on in Europe in lung cancer. And I am head of a very big lung cancer program at Michigan now. And so I'm heading up this huge endeavor. So now I have to go to lung cancer meetings. And so I was very exciting to what's going on in France and in the UK. So, I think the future of oncology is very bright.
Yeah.
There are lots of discoveries of molecules, new genes, new drugs. Everyone's working on new drugs, a lot of drugs from academia, but we need more people in investigation.
Hmm.
We are just not paying them enough. We are not prioritizing as a country science, and look where that took us, right? Or 1 million deaths from a virus, right?
Yeah.
That could have been conquered in different ways, and vaccination and stuff like that. So we don't prioritize teaching the public the enormous value of science
Hmm.
and how science has changed their lives. People think it's like, okay, they can think that this is not a good way to spend money. They have no problem getting on the airplane, right? Well, how is the airplane fly, right?
Yeah.
Everything you do
Yeah.
that you love about your life, from your toaster to the airplane to your to ibuprofen that takes care of your
Yeah.
headache. Everywhere you look, it's science working for you. So
Yeah.
it's like the return on investment is 200-fold. It's been calculated by the brightest economists in the world. There is no bigger return on investment than funding science, but we still don't.
Yeah.
We don't find it adequate. We don't find cancer adequate.
Yeah.
So we need to advocate. Patients and doctors and society needs to advocate if we want a better life.
Yeah. Yeah. Who do you have a couple of favorite organizations? We'll end with this.
Well, a favorite organization of mine is the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. They've been funding my work since 2004. They only fund research.
Yeah.
And they are the largest private funder, private philanthropist of cancer funding for research. So Breast Cancer Research Foundation is my favorite. And they pick you. You can't apply.
Okay.
You are either in the club or you're not. And the reason to be in the club is you have to have shown imagination. You have to have shown that you come up with new things and that you help people. And so it's just, as I said, they choose you. And then every year they decide if you are deserving of the next year of funding. So it's not like a foregone conclusion.
Sure.
So I have benefited, and my trainees and my patients have benefited tremendously. So I give them a lot of the money I give to anything outside of disability for my son who's disabled. I give to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation personally, or to the University of Michigan Rowe Cancer Center.
Yeah.
Because they use every dollar for research. They don't, they don't turn on the lights or flush the toilets with your money. They use it for research. Yeah. Every single penny. Not a dollar goes to anybody else. It just goes to research in the labs and in the clinic.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for coming to be my patient. And thank you, Larry, for always being there, for Heather and for the whole family. It's been such an honor and a privilege to get to know you all and be a small part of your lives and get to know your children, who are lovely and lovely people, and not surprising that you raise such wonderful children.
Oh, wow.
And what a journey that has been.
Yeah. Yeah, it all
what
has
an
been.
Adventure.
I think the listeners are going to get a ton out of this, and they're going to be able to pick and pull from the things. And, even though you're not their doctor, I think you're even going to give people hope that don't even know who you are. So thank you very much for all of them.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to reach more people.
Yep.
And to life.
To life.
Awesome.